Back here on the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel wherever you are tuning in. We thank you for doing so on this particular football week as we get you closer and closer to Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, and the calendar move from November to December. It is football playoff time, which people love so much. And we have a special guest with us. He's the head football coach of the Nansemond River Warriors, 8-2 overall on this season, and they're roaring going into these playoffs here on a nice little win streak, getting ready to play host to the Bethel Bruins on Friday night over there at Arrowhead Stadium. We say hello and congrats on another fine year to Coach Alonzo Ricks Jr. Coach, always fun to be in the playoffs and always great to be at home hosting a game, correct?
Good morning. Yes, sir. Always. Definitely don't count it as anything negative, man. Definitely as a blessing to be able to make it. And so many teams aspire to get there. We're here and we're excited about it.
For sure. Let's go over your football team because you've had a lot of different contributors throughout the season. We know getting out of the gates, you played the Bethel Bruins, who is your, ironically enough, playoff opponent here in a game that was going to be a key measuring stick before you went into that very challenging Southeastern District. I know you said before the Southeastern District's like the SEC for football, and you beat the Bruins 46-14. You're a different team now, so are they, but you won the next game after that after the bye week. You beat Deep Creek 42-7, then took a couple L's against Oscar Smith and Kings Fork, but you've won 6 in a row since. Do you feel like your team's playing its best football? And kind of looking back on it now, it's a new season here. How would you sum up the year you've had so far?
I think productive. We've done a lot of good things. We played well, played some, great competition throughout, and the guys have just been resilient in how they responded to, everything that's been thrown our way. We're a different team, but so are they. And as you said before, hey, it's the second season. The opportunities are very slim to few now. So those opportunities that we get, we have to make sure that we capitalize on them, seize those, and make the plays we needed to be successful in the game on Friday night.
I felt one of the pivotal moments in your season, tell me if I'm wrong, was the game you won at Indian River, 28-21. You're down in that football game. And correct me if I'm wrong, your starting quarterback, Tyrell Grant, went down in that ball game. Tell me about how that one shook out for you and what it did for the confidence, the morale of the group moving forward from that victory.
Just like anything else, I can't say we practice those situations, and to have that young man miss the time he has, and then I have him, it's been rough. But the young men have been really resilient. They stuck up for one another. They played for one another, did what they were coached and taught to do. And that just brought us closer together as well, as to see one of our key contributors go down. Just made us be more hungry. And again, we played a tough Indian River team. They're going to be a tough out in 5A. But we were able to hang in there and sustain and win the game. So definitely grateful.
Now, what is the update? Is Grant on the shelf? Is he back? What's the status of him right now?
No, he's still on the shelf right now. But anything's possible. He's just not playing. He's not playing right now. So we'll see what the future holds in a short period of time, and we'll move from there.
Now, in his place, correct me if I'm wrong, you've moved Tavon Douglas from the wide receiver spot. How has he adapted and the rest of your offense sort of complemented what he does?
They just feed off each other. It's kind of the same thing with TJ. The young men have just responded. They pick up from what's missing or maybe lacking, and guys have just been able to do different things. So we always coach the guys to kind of be universal. And they have been moving around some key parts and pieces, and they've adapted and adjusted, and we're grateful.
Let's highlight some other guys for you, Coach, that have made contributions. I know defensive, it's a number of guys flying to the football, rallying to it, getting some tackles, TFL, sacks, if you will. Interceptions, you got a couple of guys with a number of those this year. Josiah Johnson, I know, being one, and our RJ Jones for you. Rajay, I think is what his first name is. Tell us about some of those guys that have stepped up for you, be it offensively, defensively, and also special teams, which is also crucial to your success.
Those guys, I mean, like I said, the magnitude of how they played and how they responded has been really awesome. And some of those guys, like you called it for 2, 3, 4 year guys in the program, and they've responded for this year to answer the call. You talk about Josiah Johnson. Yeah, he's leading the team in our interceptions. One of the leaders in Southampton Roads. He's just a ball hawk. He come up and make a tackle, but definitely he can cover you. And RJ, I can't say it enough, man. He is one of the best safeties around in the state of Virginia. any classification, I'll put him up there. He's got a knack for the ball. Comes down for run support. He's the leader of our defense. He's vocal, make sure he has all the checks, and the guys feed off those two on the back end. But you talk about defensively, as you asked, Xavier Gresham's having a great year. Calvin Holloway, my two linebackers, Jakari Colden and Travis Freeman, even like Nigel Greer, Anton Perez, playing out there in space. Um, at safety, Cameron Sexton is our other corner. Then up front, Isaiah Lawrence, James Lamar, these young men, Jadon Cook, these young men have been battle tested week in and week out against some of the best, as you stated already, and have done outstanding job. And then offensively, we talk about after the Indian River game, but Karan Madison, he's been very special. He can do so many different things outside and inside as far as being in that receiver position. Melvin Brown, 1,000-yard back this year. Never wavered, man. This young man has been everything. You talk about a program guy. He is the definition of a program guy. He split time and split carries the last 2 years, and he's carried the load this year and shouldered it and has done extremely well. And to bring that up, then I have to acknowledge our offensive line. And the offensive line, we lost some key contributors from last year, but to come in this year, feet to the pedal, and those guys have been well coached and well taught, and they have utilized what's been taught and coached them to do, and they've done a good job. So yeah, we've had a lot of different cast members for us to step up and do it, and it hasn't always been every week. It's been somebody new, kind of doing everything, and that's the thing that we're proud of. That's the thing that I'm excited about moving forward. That those young men know, hey, look, man, it might not have been your night, but it was somebody else's, and whatever it is. We just want to continuously win, stay healthy, and move forward.
29 wins and counting in 4 seasons at the helm at Nansemond. Alonzo Ricks Jr., our guest here on the Hash with Hatfield. They play host to Bethel in the Region 5B quarterfinals coming up on Friday night in Suffolk. Going out there and check out a good football game between two quality teams in a really jam-packed, top-heavy region. You got the defending state champs in your region of Maury, Kings Fork. You had a hellacious battle with this year. Warwick, Granby, 2-9-1 teams in a 4-5 game. It's just a loaded region, and I'll get to your thought on that in a moment here, Coach. But something I'm not sure I've asked you before, your philosophy. A lot of coaches believe you learn a lot from a loss. Do you believe you learned more about your team in the 2 defeats you had against Oscar Smith and Kings Fork, or did you learn as much, if not more, in those 8 victories? You've had some adversity you've battled through here. What's sort of your feeling of it and view big picture here as you go into this matchup with Bethel?
I'm just taking it all in stride. Great point that you made. And I do feel you learn a lot in losses, but I also learned a lot in wins as well. You learn how to be resilient. Not all games are going to go, 80-0 or anything widespread. So sometimes you're going to be in dog fights, and that's what you find the knack of your team. You find the fight and the grit of your team. And we've had some of those games this year. Even in the widespread games that we won, we felt like, hey, we missed some opportunities, we missed some points on the board, we missed some stops defensively or special teams or whatever. So those are things that we just try to dial up. But we have learned a lot since those defeats early on against 2 solid teams that we played, and we're just trying to continuously work on what we need to work on, hash out what we need to hash out, and hopefully be successful moving forward.
Now, you've had some fine battles over there. Fortunately for you, you've been at home for them in the last couple of years in the regional playoffs. You beat Kickinton 18-12 in 2021, beat them 21-14 in 2022. You beat Granby last year in a little bit of a back-and-forth game, 35-20. Maury's knocked you out the past 2 years. This Bethel team, they're chomping at the bit for revenge because you beat them in game 1, and they're a different team from when you played them back in late August, early September, whenever it was. Tell me about this group and how you go about slowing down, stopping, containing, if you will, their great running back who we announced earlier in the shows, our Chicho's Pizza 757 football player of the week, and Amari Pryor. How do you go about containing him?
Just by making sure we do our jobs up front, read our keys, laying integrity, gap responsibility, do all those things. We can't keep looking in the backfield or taking ourselves out the equation. We can't pick a side. We just have to do our job and do what's coached and taught to do. Coach Porter does a good job, and he's been doing a good job since he's been there, as I know he would. And so those guys are going to be ready to go. But we'll make sure that we're ready as well. And we still have, 2 other days of prayer. And then Friday night, like you said, we're looking for a good game and being successful.
And be honest, I know you're not looking past this football team because it's a quality opponent, but your kids inside, and you once played the game of football, so you know it's like they have to be saying, "We would love another crack at Kings Fork because you had them right there in that regular season encounter." Is that part of the motivation? You certainly, if you're a senior, want to continue your career, move on, win, advance, but your guys probably naturally would like another crack at a rival, potentially in a second round game if you were to advance and they advance, right?
No comment. So I say this. Um, Yeah, hey, that was real good, Mr. Hatfield. Look, we met Sunday. The coaches and I, we met Sunday, and that's one thing I just talked about. Look, I told the guys even before the game on senior night Friday, hey, look, this was all that you were guaranteed. Truthfully, you were truthfully guaranteed 10 games, whatever was on your schedule, and after that, nothing was guaranteed. And like I said, we're one of the few teams, not a few, but a abundance of teams in the Southampton Rose that I have an opportunity to make strides and play off in the playoffs. And so we find that grateful. But those young men know they better not ever let me hear those say that. We try to take care of what we need to take care of right now. Take the mantra of seizing the day. That's all you have. And you can't look forward. You don't even know what might happen at 11:50. So 11:49, you can only just be careful and cautious about what's right now. So that's kind of how we take things on National Parkway, and we'll continue to move forward. And like I said, they have business to attend to with I believe Mitchville. I
Mm-hmm.
think and so we have to do the same with a good Bethel team. So if prayerfully if we can get there, we'll talk about it. But for now, we just gonna take care of what we need to take care of moving forward to Friday.
No, listen, I appreciate the honesty. You weren't even 100% positive it was Mitchell. It is Mitchell for them, and so what you're telling me indirectly here is if I had said that out loud in your huddle or your locker room, I'd be running laps right now. It's pretty much what I'd be doing.
Yeah. They know. Hey, look, man, that's something that we, like I said, that's something that we just talk about. We just try to pride ourselves on taking it honestly. The old
Mhm.
mantra, cliche, but I'm seriously, we truthfully say that all the time, and it starts with me. Hey, look, we only can control what we can control right now. And I
Sure.
can't think about Thursday. Hell, I can't think about Friday. The way the world goes and the way things are happening this day and age, the only thing you can control is right now. So that's what we pride
Sure.
ourselves on and try to stay focused on those things, the task at hand.
Well, let me shift it up here in our last couple of minutes. We thank you for coming on the podcast here. How about just, the best teams are the ones that are senior led and player driven. Tell me about what the leadership's been like after losing the last couple of years in the second round of Maury, who went on to win a state championship just this past year. I'm sure those guys have been hungry to get back to that point. What have they been like? And tell me some of those leaders, what they've done for you throughout this year, through some injuries, some close losses, some tough wins, the gritty moments, the ups and downs, if you will, going back to the summertime to now. What have they done to help this program continue to evolve and elevate its level?
Honestly, seriously, just be them. They have uh try their best to lead each other, but definitely make sure that they're leading themselves individually. And then that permeates through the collection of guys in the program. My coaches, I feel like, are dynamic and awesome young men, and they do a great job. And just holding down their segments, and just it starts there, and then in the branch to team, and then we go defensive side. It starts with their segments, and then it goes to their team, and then it just kind of just like I said permeates within the program. So they lead themselves. If they need to have a conversation with each other, and the coaches need to move, that's what they do. They're not afraid to hold each other and call each other out, hold each other accountable. Whether it's the wrong route, whether you missed a block, whether you missed a tackle, whether you dropped the interception, um, those guys just kind of feed off of it, and they don't do a lot of rah rah. That's not them. They're just kind of just subtle, soaking in the moment each day, and they just try to press each other to continuously be better. And some days are going to be better than others, and I try to explain that to them all the time. It's like in life, some days are going to be better than others, but when you have the opportunity to make the best of it, sure.
Absolutely. And get you on this one. Thank you for coming on again. I know you've talked about the Southeast District being so strong, and it is improving here in recent years with the playoff success. The proof is in the pudding there. And your region, I've stated it before, and I know you probably feel the same way, that 5B is about as competitive and fierce as any region across the board in the state among the 6 classifications, the 24 regions. What in your eyes, it's sort of a two-part question here. What in your eyes, A, is the common thread of why all these teams, and you being among the 8, are such at a high quality? And then B, what will it take? What will determine your team having an opportunity to be one of the last teams standing in this region?
Well, the first part of your question, I believe, is just honestly, I think we all kind of watch each other. Obviously, with the enrollment numbers you have no other choice but to kind of look. And it's based on PowerPoints and this and that. So I'm pretty sure at some point down the line, depending on whatever side street or city you're on in our region, I think at some point you kind of seeing the scores, and even if you don't pay attention to it or just kind of dive in it, like you kind of just kind of keep up to see, okay, this might be here, this might be there, kind of stuff like that. But like I said, our region is stacked. I mean, I looked at last year and I thought the same thing, and then it turned around basketball season as well as and I know Coach Young alluded to it as well. Like you talked about that region being one of the best in the state of Virginia. You could have put us against anybody across the 6 classifications. So it's pretty tough. And what it's going to take for us, just to stay healthy, do the small things, continuously, worry about what we need to handle on our end, do what we need to do, make sure we taking care of the little things and making the right strides. But and then just playing our best. This time of year, great teams come to the top because they're playing at a high level. They're playing for each other and they're doing all the right things needed to sustain success. So to me, in my eyesight, that's what it would take for us to be one of the last teams standing in this gauntlet of Region 5B as well.
Should be a fun night at Nansemond Parkway Arrowhead Stadium coming up on Friday as the number 3 seeded Nansemond River Warriors at 8-2 overall play host to the 6 seeded visiting Bethel Bruins, who come in at 6-4 overall. Nansemond River is 16-16 all time in the postseason. Coach Rick's trying to move his team to 9-2 on the year and 17-16 in its program's history in the playoffs. Thank you so much. All the best to you, and I'm sure we'll be chatting down the road.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Hatfield, as always. Appreciate you for having me, man. Definitely don't take it for granted. Thank you.
Our pleasure. That's Coach Alonzo Ricks Jr. of the Nansemond River Warriors doing another outstanding job, 9-2. They're trying to get to on the season if they can beat Bethel for the second time this year, coming up in the regional quarterfinals on Friday night. We'll take a timeout and come back with more here on The Hash with Hatfield. Take a look at all the playoff picture, all the playoff matchups, I should say, across the board after we hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible. Stay tuned. You're watching On The Hash with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV.